Welcome, everybody, to this week's live episode of Strong Style here on the Outlaw Nation channel. I'm one of your hosts. I am the Outlaw, John Rocha, and joining me today, sitting in for Aaron Turner, is a professional wrestler, a professional comedian, a professional actor, and the commissioner of the Schmodown himself, Mr. Jay Washington. How are you, Jay?
That's a lot of commas, and you still missed a couple of them too. Like, because it's the thing. It's just the thing. It's just like, people always will ask you when you're doing stuff like, what do you want us to introduce you as? How do you want us to say this or say that?
Right.
And I'm always like, look, whatever you figure out, say it, because it's so much. I'm grateful for it all. But I'm happy to be doing this, man. Again, to be able to talk a little bit of wrestling and whatnot on a Saturday.
Definitely, man.
The industry is having a lot going on. Let's just say this.
Yeah, bro. So much is happening, and it almost feels like we're back in another period, Jay, where wrestling is just on another boom, and it feels like it, yet it doesn't feel like it at the same time. It's kind of crazy.
What do you mean by it doesn't?
Well,
is it because there are no fans because of the shows, the way things
right?
Are? Okay,
exactly.
okay.
Like, you're seeing wrestling, all these Impact, Ring of Honor, NJPW now, these kind of smaller federations are getting their TV shows, getting people over that the WWE is like letting go of. They're grabbing them and giving them titles, giving them
that's nothing. But that's not
their
the
respective
new.
things.
But that's not the new.
I'm just saying, it's like, it's great to see that happening, but the people aren't there because of the COVID and whatever. So you're not feeling that energy just yet, but I know it's coming.
Yeah, I think that was the big the problem, if you will. This is what, a lack of better words, with WrestleMania, because it was such a tease.
Yeah,
it was it was 2 nights overall of solid good action.
Yeah,
it was a great show for 2 nights, and so to have fans again, it enhances every match.
Mm-hmm.
But then you go right back on Monday to the Thunderdome.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so we see, you see what AEW is doing, because AEW has Daily's Place, but it's also in Florida. So they're allowed a little bit more leeway to do what they want. But granted, the people behind AEW, Tony Khan, Cody Rhodes, all them are like, yo, we're still going to play it safe.
Yeah.
We're not going to pack. We could literally pack out Daily's Place if we wanted to. We're not.
Yeah.
And then again, New Japan is like, yo, we gotta, when they're doing over, in Japan, they're taking it, they're doing it the same way we saw what Wrestle Kingdom was.
Yeah.
So I think it's just going to be interesting, because again, the phrase, the new normal.
Yeah.
And I mean, the new normal is not going to be for wrestling fans who are worrying that there's not going to ever be fans in places, because there are shows, indie shows happening everywhere that still have fans in them.
Exactly.
It's just that, how is it going to look, this thing? I mean, yeah, WrestleMania was an inkling, but it's WrestleMania. It's a bigger thing. So.
Right. And we're going to see it all. Certainly, as the weeks go along and people start coming back to these arenas, we're still going to start to feel that energy and that fire again. And we're going to start to see what that leads to in terms of people's reaction to certain wrestlers, because it's easy to push certain wrestlers when you don't know what the fan reaction is going to be. Once they're back live, we'll see who gets pushed, who doesn't get pushed, what storylines get moved around. So it's an incredible time, certainly, to be a professional wrestling fan. And I can't thank Jay enough for sitting in today. We're going to talk about so many things today. We're going to talk about that Roddy Piper biography, that A&E biography that was pretty incredible. We'll talk about the new documentary on the Peacock /WWE network on The Miz, his 24/7 doc. We're going to talk about Mick Foley, talking about the need for a female wrestling show that is just for female wrestlers, trying to encourage the WWE to do that before AEW does that. We're going to
some people were like, Mick was wrong. I was like, Mick ain't wrong.
Mick ain't wrong. That's I agree with you 1,000%. I don't think Mick Foley is wrong either. We're also going to get into Kenny Omega defeating Rich Swann to become the Impact World Champion. He's got 3 belts now as a champion himself. And then we're going to talk about AEW Blood and Guts Dynamite that's happening Wednesday. Not the pay-per-view Blood Guts Dynamite that's happening Wednesday. Maybe we'll touch on the possible pay-per-view matches that might be setting up. Also, Dark Side of the Ring. I found out this morning it is debuting on Friday, but for some reason they've already dropped.
Yeah, I got a message this morning.
Yeah, they already dropped part 1, the Brian Pillman episode. I randomly started watching it literally 10 minutes before the show started. I'm like, holy crap, this is really happening. So after we're done with our show, please, and then we'll preview season 3 that's coming as well by just going through the episodes real quick, because the playlist is already out there on Vice TV. So a lot to get into. But please remember, Streamlabs and Super Chats are open. If you want to send support, you want some support into the show, to the Outlaw Nation as well. If you want to send in some some questions that you want Jay and I to answer, send them in as we go along. We don't have an overlay for me and Jay, but we do have that bar rolling underneath. So please, you can get the address there. It's also pinned in the chat and should be pinned in the description of this video as well. But let's get into it, Jay. First, A&E Biography continuing this series. They started last week. They debuted last week with this biography series. They started with Stone Cold Steve Austin. That was a good biography, but this is one that I really thoroughly enjoyed, revisiting the life of Roddy Piper. I found out so many things I didn't know about Roddy Piper's life. Jay, tell me, what was your reactions? You were watching it. What did you like about it or did not like about this biography?
I don't think there's too much I can say that I don't like about it,
okay,
to be quite honest. It is always interesting when we're seeing what molded the legends that we know, not the business. You know what I'm saying? Like Roddy Piper, the business came and shot him a certain way, but his upbringing is what molded him to be the person he was. You know, we hear about the struggles, the being homeless, the having to fight off people and constantly fighting and all this stuff. And then to hear all that, and then to hear how, you know, once he learned the business, he understood it, how protective he was, his thing against Mr. T, which, you know, you get as a wrestler, you get it.
Yeah.
But that was the part when the business was changing. Hogan and McMahon understood, like, yo, we kind of need this. Him being like, I'll do the job, but I won't take this cover. You know, all these different things. And it's Piper goes down in history like many greats, one of the greatest without a world title run. You know, he goes down in history with that. Did I disappear, or is it strolling? What the hell happened? Let's see. Okay. Oh, I guess I'm here and Rocha's not. Okay, John froze. Okay, I was wondering. I was like, yo, I'm still here.
My take so there we go. Go ahead, man. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
No, I was like, what happened? I was like, for once it wasn't me. But no, like I said, Piper goes down in history as one of the greatest to never have a world title run.
Yeah.
You know,
right?
You know, he was one of the legendary Intercontinental champions, and that speaks volumes as far as the history of that title. But now to see where, you know, what would have been if he'd got a run? You know, those what ifs. And like Hogan even says when he talked to Piper later years and how he was telling Piper, yo, if you'd have did this one thing, who knows where your career would have went.
Right.
If you'd all you had to do was if you'd have taken the pen from Mr. T, who knows what happens? And then it kind of correlates to what we see in the Miz documentary.
That's true, Jay. I mean, I think what I enjoyed the most was getting a chance to like hear about his family life as well. You know, that rare wrestler that keeps his family life out of the business, you know, and I think his daughter Teal is in the business in a smaller federation, does some stuff for the smaller federation. We heard about her wanting to become an actress and all of that, but certainly no one else seems to have a part in any of the professional wrestling side of things in their life now. And I found that to be fascinating, and hearing the story about how he met this waitress, and then how like he really was all about her, and then how they got together and stayed together up until he passed, but also seeing the journey he was on. You're right, Jay. I mean, the thing is, when you're in your 20s and your 30s, you are riding cock strong through the world. It's what happens afterwards when the injuries pile up, when you know the ability to keep making a living doing what you love to do, when you've only focused on that, starts to become threatened. What happens, and then of course, as we saw in that Rich Eisen clip, what happens when your mind starts to go from the numerous hits, concussions, chair shots, you know, what have you, seeing all of that affecting him, and then sadly his passing away, which is very emotional in the biography. But Jay, for me, I come away from that remembering once again what a great heel Roddy Piper was. Maybe the greatest, you could argue, overall. What did you think about it?
You get a better understanding of him as a heel.
Yeah.
Because he was so believable with his heel nature.
Yeah.
where you didn't know if he was really an asshole or if this was the character that portrayed that. And again, when you hear about his family saying how when he would come off the road, he would take a day to stay in a hotel to basically make himself transition. To keep that away. And again, the legacy of him want to have fans fight him and stuff like that.
People getting stabbed.
So rest in peace, Bruiser Brody, Chris Candido.
Right.
Like these are people who portrayed those heels so well. The real world forgets. And it's a testament to their greatness, their legacy of what they've done in this business. And so again, to see how he was writing notes. He was everything we thought was on top of the head. He would have these random thoughts. But again, I wanted to go back to something you said about how when it's all over, how are you treated when all this you have is wrestling? But it's because it's weird. It's like, look, Piper is one of the greats. We have some of the greats, and they've said it. Flair talks about how Piper helped him so much. Bret Hart, Hogan, all these people. But then you look at how they were able to still stay in the midst and on top, and everybody had behind them. And Piper wasn't that, but Piper was always a loner.
Right.
So it's just what if Piper would have just allowed himself to be a little more open. Again, you don't have to take the bumps.
Right.
You don't have to do all that. Could he possibly been a manager for Ronda Rousey? Things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's a great point you bring up, Jay. Certainly, when you walk away from Biography, you certainly remember. You get to remember what he was like, and for those of you who have no exposure or had no exposure to Roddy Piper in his prime, you get to see what a pioneer he was as a heel. And Jay brings up an excellent point, and it was so fascinating to see him talk about. People walk up to me and they think I'm making this up on the spot, and I find that insulting. And like any true great artist, and yes, in professional wrestling there are artists, he understood I gotta come up with all kinds of stuff, like someone writing music, like someone writing a play, like someone writing a screenplay. He was constantly working on his craft. He knew this was a way to get himself over. Like they mentioned, he wasn't a big dude, but he knew the gift of gab could be the difference. And you could argue, as much as Hogan elevated the WWE with stardom, Roddy Piper certainly did with his mouth, showing everybody else the power of a promo, the power to put you over for real of a promo. And it was great to see. And he took it next level. Of course, we'd seen Flair, we'd seen Dusty, but Piper went next level with his promos, like Jay said, where it felt real, like real heat between these people.
Dude, the moment with him and Cyndi Lauper that sets up the moment with the WrestleMania, you have this moment with him and Cyndi Lauper. And again, at the time, Cindy's one of the biggest stars. Like they say, this is when wrestling is slowly starting to get into the mainstream, because for much people want to say wrestling's always been mainstream. No, it hasn't. There's always been a cult following. Wrestling has gone mainstream thanks to a lot of the moves Vince McMahon made. People might hate him for a lot of his business practices and everything he does, but Vince is the reason the world knows of wrestling the way we know of it. The reason why everybody, men and women, try to become these stars like that. And you have Piper, you're the guy, he's one of the guys you put at the forefront of this. You got a locker room full of future Hall of Famers and wrestlers and talent and whatnot. And you have all of that. And then you say, you have Cyndi Lauper's manager was like, yo, can you kick her in the face?
But like, not really kick her, but kick her in the face. And he's like, all right. And then pile drive me onto the mat, or body slam me onto the mat. Okay. And he was willing to do it, and knew that he was going to get shit for it, knew he was going to get heat for it. And I think what also powerfully comes through the documentary, Jay, and I'm sure you can speak to this too, is how they all made money off of what he was able to do, but he doesn't get the credit that Hogan does or that other people do for that building up of the WWE in the 80s. Like, it's always Savage or Warrior or even DiBiase who gets mentioned before Piper gets mentioned, and that's always a crime.
Well, also you see in the documentary that Piper was very controversial. So think about it. You had Hulk Hogan was about Hulkamania, bringing all the kids in. Right. The Macho Man was a wilder version of Hulkamania. Yeah. DiBiase was all this rich man, and I throw money at your feet and you grovel at me. Piper was just, I'm going to say what I say. Even for back in the 80s and back in the 80s, early 90s,
Yeah.
when we're sitting here saying that, you know, people would have been quote unquote canceled or people would have shied away from him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this guy was doing that regardless, and it was putting people over. But we stepped past the controversy of what he would say and look at the other people who would elevate. Again, Bret Hart goes down as one of the greatest technical wrestlers ever and one of the greatest wrestlers ever. Bret Hart is not a great talker.
Yeah.
Let's just be real. Nobody's ever going to say, man, Bret Hart cut a promo. Like, he might have one or two that people are not going to be like, Bret Hart is just great on the mic. Bret Hart did what he did in the ring.
Yeah.
And it worked. But, you know, Bret talks about the match with him and Roddy, how that was Roddy's match.
Yeah. Roddy put him over. Yeah.
Roddy put him over. So,
yeah. At a time, and I think you mentioned this earlier, Jay, at a time when 80s wrestlers didn't do that. Like, Hogan didn't like putting people over. Other wrestlers didn't like putting people over. You understand Piper not wanting to take the loss on such at WrestleMania when you understand it. You may not agree with it, but you understand it. Even his wife still says to this day what she says in the interview. She said he knew his worth. He knew his worth. And in that moment, he could have taken the loss, maybe gone forward with it in the end. But, you know, Piper's got to be Piper. I love the way she described him. He was a lone wolf. He was a renegade. And it's like, damn, that's an awesome description for him.
We talked before Piper made it, when Piper in the Olympic Auditorium in LA played La Cucaracha on the bagpipes. I said, excuse me. I said, excuse me. And you do this, and you do this, and you're like, oh man, this is a man who understands. But again, like his wife said, he protected Roddy Piper, and that's something we don't see. That's why, that's one of the things about the Schmodown that always upsets me. And I'm always been open when people try to use terms kayfabe, heel, and face, and they are not in the business. Like, leave that terminology to those of us in the business. Stop back. I mean, I get it. The characters play heels and faces. Right. But Christian, myself, Ken Knapsack, been in the business. The respect of the business. Rowdy respected that. You lose that in a lot of wrestlers these days. Again, you have a lot of guys who just want to be flashy and want to be superstars real quick without putting in the work. They want to get over real quick and go viral, do something digital and not build a legacy. You have people now, like, people might talk shit about, I'm tired of seeing Randy Orton. Well, Randy can do what he want to do right now. Yeah. Randy has earned it. He's earned it. Exactly. Again, The Rock has earned being able to go and do movies and TV shows and have all this time. Cena has done that. You know what I'm saying? Roman Reigns is on that plateau. Roman can walk away right now and he would have a successful acting career no matter what. Yeah, after the head of the table stuff, absolutely. His head of the table stuff has opened up an acting career for him. But you have to look at, people don't look at what, again, these characters are protected. Again, there's a level of, you don't have that much protection because also gimmicks keep being changed by talent, and creative. Piper was Piper, whether Piper was a face or a heel. He was still Piper. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, absolutely, dude. I respect that, and totally, for those of you who've been in the business, totally. I've watched it, obviously loved it, paid, it's been my religious love since I was 10 years old. So when I use those terms in the Schmodown, when Christian wants me to do them, it's part of an extension of that. But I totally understand the people who've actually been in the business, actually been up and down the road, dealt with that stuff, had to learn it, dealt with the locker rooms and all of that, been in front of people, actually doing moves or being the manager. Totally get the possessive nature of those terms and what they mean and how to use them and the importance of those terms as well. So I respect your point of view. Absolutely, Jay. Someone mentioned it here, and I think that's great. To be fair, nowadays people are aware of characters in the Schmodown. I don't think some fans realize the Outlaw was a gimmick. That's true. At the beginning, they didn't. And that's where I felt when I was watching the Piper stuff, I felt a little bit of kinship, like a little micro kinship to him in that feeling that people thought it was real. I would actually be approached by people at press screenings who would ask me if I was really this guy or really doing this stuff. And so I remember that distinctly at the beginning. Now, of course, everybody knows what it is. But yeah, so that when Piper was getting that kind of heat, I'll tell you, Jay, there was a little jealousy, like a little envy, not jealousy, obviously, but envy, like I'd love to motivate people to be that insane to pull a blade or a knife or to take it so seriously. You can't see yourself. But you got frozen as hell.
I'm frozen again. Oh well.
Yeah, you just can't.
I can't catch a break today. But yeah, I'd love like an old lady to hit me with a cane. I'd love an old lady to hit me with a cane. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, all right. All right. Well, there we go.
You unfroze. Yeah, okay.
Sometimes I have to switch tabs. I don't know what's going on. I might
whatever you're doing, whatever you got
here.
You might have to have too much stuff running.
I've only got 4 windows open, but maybe on my other one. Yeah, maybe I should get out all that other one. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, but the thing is, again, you and that's the thing too, like, again, it was only until recently, and I said recently, maybe the past 15, 20 years, given the fact we're in 2021. So it was only until recently where you would see heels and faces in public like this.
Yeah.
Like there was this rule of, but behind the stage and backstage, we can fraternize, we do whatever we got to do. Yeah. When the public is out, if I saw you in public and I'm the heel and you the face, you're terrified of me and I want to fight you.
Yeah.
You know, like we know we're not going to actually come to those blows, but then we have to build that. And so that's why sometimes it gets difficult for people to feel certain characters a certain way.
Yeah.
You know, and it's yes, Pharaoh Kid once says there was 2 different entrance ramps. That's one of the things that AEW does. There was 2 different entrance ramps. Like that was the faces came on one side, heels went on the other. I was trained that way.
Yeah.
I was trained in the, you respect this business. You respect these things, these terms, these ways, faces and heels. If you're a heel, you need to be a heel. If you're a face, you're a face. The hardest thing when I first started, because I was a heel for years. I love being a heel more than a face anyway.
Yeah,
but being a heel, people want to take autographs and want pictures with you, and it's kids, and you kind of, you're like, God damn it, I don't want to. Like I remember I did a show and my son was there.
Oh wow!
And my son was like, Daddy, and I was like, I don't know if I'm your father, and because I had to, do those things because again I'm in that old there's this old school mentality with new school ways, and so but it's just again this Piper documentary talks a lot of this. My son knows I love him.
Yes, I'm sure he does. But Piper, of course, from the documentary, we'll wrap up here, comes across as an incredibly a genuine person who really cared about the business, really cared about the people in the business, really cared about the kids. He has that quote in the documentary as well, talking about how just to have those kids smile or leave the stadium with a smile on their face, having experienced what we put out for them, was pretty incredible. But I will tell you 2 things that stood out, Jay. That dog collar match. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'd love to see a Schmodown dog collar match. I'm not gonna lie to you, where you're yanking on trying to answer the questions and all of that with the collar there. It's incredible.
Let me tell you something. In order to pull that match off,
tell me, Commissioner. Tell me, Commissioner.
The Schmodown look. I don't think we can tether y'all through internet cables or shit. But the actual dog collar match, in order for that match to work on the level that it worked with Valentine and Piper, we have to respect each other.
Yeah.
We have to respect each other and know too much that we have to respect us, know that I'm going to beat your ass. You're going to beat my ass, but they going to all love it when it's all said and done.
Right.
They going to love it. And that's how you have these great matches. That's why when you see people, when you watch a match in wrestling and you see 2 people, you're like, I thought they was running buddies. And they beating the hell out of each other. Yep. It's because of that understanding of, if I hit you hard, you already know I'm not doing this because I don't like you.
Right.
What we do, because me and one of my best friends, who's like my tag team partner for years, Willie the Bomb Richardson, we would be in so many companies together. Team Damn It, they bring us in. We were hired hitmen a lot of times. Like they would bring us in just to whoop on teams that needed a lesson, and we gone. And but then there were times in many companies where we had to face one-on-one, and every time we worked, we knew we were like, hey man, say sorry for the back.
Yeah.
We say sorry for the back. And it was one time I'll never forget. I caught him, like we were doing, the spot was something, and I think I caught him with a right. And I was like, BAM! He was like, God damn it, Jay. And I was like, oh, we're using government names? That's what we're doing? That's what we're doing? We're doing government names? Okay. He yelled it. But it's that we finished the match and we finished beating the hell out of each other, and we'll talk about something we felt could have went better or wrong or whatever. But it was the crowd loved it. And that's the thing. So that's why you get that dog collar match with Piper and Valentine. Piper, who knows you're gonna hate me regardless. I don't care. Valentine, I'm Greg the Hammer Valentine.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a low man's blue collar Ric Flair.
Right. Yep. Good point. Good point. All right. Well, there and you guys should watch this. It's on AEW. You can download the app on Roku or whatever, and they've got these episodes for free: the Stone Cold one and the Roddy Piper one. So definitely watch them. I think Randy Savage is coming up soon. They've got
going to be it. I don't know if my soul can take that one.
Yeah.
Because Savage went through a lot.
Yeah, can they do it an hour and a half? You know, already. I mean, I felt like the Stone Cold one left a lot on the table. The Piper one, I think you get a good idea, you know, because they go into his acting, go into him coming back, you know, kind of pissing off Vince, and then coming back for the Hall of Fame, and then blessing Rowdy Ronda Rousey with his nickname. So all of that kind of plays out there in the biography as well. So you got a lot.
Did you pay attention to her? Did you pay attention to her cry-on?
Her cry-on? What? No,
her like her name.
Oh,
It still says WWE superstar.
Yeah,
let you know. It doesn't say former WWE superstar.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Because there are people who are Hall of Famers. There are people who are former wrestlers and whatever. Former writer. Again, Brian Gewirtz, former writer. It says that.
That's
Ronda
true.
is still listed as a current WWE superstar.
I didn't even catch that was a thing, man.
Granted, she's pregnant now. We know she's not going to see. We're not going to see for at least 2.5 years, right? At the most. But the way things are going, so it would be so quick anyway. But yeah.
Interesting. It's certainly they're going to be a number of them, as we mentioned. It's going to be Stone Cold Steve. We did Macho Man. Booker T is going to get one. Shawn Michaels gets one. Bret Hart gets one. Mick Foley and Ultimate Warrior. So all of those will be coming, and you can watch that at A&E. And I think they have it on the website as well if you want to go to aetv.com.
I can tell you one. I don't think I can. I remember. I want to see Michaels. Yeah, because I want to see them talk about the plane crash.
Yes.
With his back breaking and him coming back from that, and with the shit tights. With the shit trunks, the brown shitty trunks, where everybody was like, "Bro, they just couldn't get those. You didn't bring nothing, huh?" I guarantee that's the story that they had to make something on the fly,
right?
But that one, the Warrior one, is the one that's going to be the hardest. Because we're going to always see that Raw promo, that very last promo, the night after WrestleMania.
Yeah,
the most ominous is this foreshadowing promo ever, and the next day he passes.
Yeah, crazy shit happens in the world of wrestling, like Hogan talking about getting that voicemail from Roddy 2 days later, and it's all about him walking with Jesus. You're like, what the hell is happening?
Well, that's because Hogan will never walk with Jesus. So because Jesus doesn't use the hard R.
Jesus Christ. Jesus walks. Okay, anyway, let's move
Jesus
on.
Doesn't use the hard R. And I'm not talking about brother, okay? Just want to say that.
You also get a taste of his stand-up there as well. So there's a lot to explore. Go watch that documentary if you haven't watched. I think you'll thoroughly enjoy it. Even if you've never watched the Roddy Piper match during his prime or any of his promos during his prime, go back and acquaint yourself with a foundational person in professional wrestling that helped elevate it to its worldwide status and influenced probably numerous heels who came after him. And I bet
there's one. I have to cut you off.
Go ahead.
There's one. What was one of the things Roddy Piper called himself?
Go ahead, man. Tell me.
The Legend Killer.
Yeah, that's right. He did. That's right. Orton took that. Right. Great point. The Legend Killer. Yeah. So that's all there. And maybe there's a young kid who was watching or watches this thing and becomes like the next great heel in professional wrestling. We shall see for sure. So go and watch that on AEW. Jay, we were supposed to jump into the Miz thing next, but we've got some breaking news here as we came to do this. Tessa Blanchard and her husband Dag are heading to AEW. This is from SES Scoops. They reported the pair have been negotiating with Tony Khan's company for a month, with a source close situation even admitting that it's all but a formality until they're signed. So, of course, Tessa had some issues coming out of where she came out of.
Bro, don't do that. Don't do that.
Right, go ahead.
Tessa was a racist and also tried to put out women should support women and made a tweet, and that shit backfired on her royally.
Yes, it did. Yes, it
And
did.
then Tessa came out to be a racist, and everybody was like, yeah, here's the receipts, bitch. And so she was initially supposed to be coming back at the Royal Rumble, so something must have happened with that, because there was talks that she had signed.
With
and
WWE?
And she was training with them. She was training at a gym with all of them, because there's a picture with a bunch of them training, and she's with them. Again, Tessa, this is going to be interesting to see what they do, because again, it's Tessa Blanchard. It's the first women's the first woman to hold the world title.
Yes,
so you have that value behind it.
Mm-hmm.
But are you going to put her immediately against who's holding what's her name? One of the Japanese women have the title.
Yeah.
And then, because everybody be like, we're going to see this, the real test is going to be, we're going to see what happens when it comes to Red Velvet, Big Swole, and Jade Cargill with her.
Right.
Because again, Tessa does not have look, she can have trained with Bailey and Sasha and all them, Callisto and all them, and that was cool. But Tessa does not have a good name, and I just want to see.
Yeah.
And somebody said in the chat, her daddy could be a pretty good reason why she got signed.
Yeah. That's because Tully is there, and so why wouldn't he help smooth the road? And from what I'm reading here, apparently the AEW, the rumor is that AEW have talked about the concept of using her legitimate prior issues on TV and then giving her character a redemption arc in the process. Jay, that's a little insulting. This is a little insulting, wouldn't you say? Oh, it took
a little.
Yeah.
Would I say it a little? It's a lot.
Yeah. What the hell? This seems like, especially with Brandy Rhodes being there. Where's Brandy Rhodes to step out? Oh, sorry. Yeah, Brandy Rhodes step out and be like, "This is ridiculous."
Brandy's pregnant, about to have a baby.
All right.
But see. So here's the thing. This is the problem with Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
I know you're like, wait, we're talking AEW. Why'd you say Vince McMahon?
No,
because
please.
Vince has started this. Vince has taken real life shit and real problematic shit and real dirt and said, put it on TV. It'll be great. Don't get me wrong. The Matt Hardy, Edge, and Lita thing turned out to be phenomenal. After getting it, it became phenomenal.
Right.
He's taken many other things, put them on TV and ran with them. Some worked, some didn't. This is not, look, I get AEW says it prides itself on being this indie show with a deal, but this ain't the move.
Yeah.
This ain't the move.
This certainly, especially in 2021, Jay, post Black Lives Matter movements, post the Me Too situation, she got called out on both those movements, for God's sakes. And you're going to tell me that she's going to come into this situation and you're going to create a redemption arc for this person? She has shown no remorse. She has at no point said that she's denied all the allegations, Jay, all of them. And so it's like, where's the redemption arc if this person can't even first admit that this was an issue or these were problems or the things she said are troublesome?
About 30 different women from around the world all came out on Twitter with corroborating stories about her.
Yeah.
Like everybody's shit was matching. And she was like, y'all not just going to try to slander my name. Bitch, what? We all said that with different situations. Like, when it's 30 people and their stories it's not even just 30 different people, but everybody was like, I was in the locker room right next to her. Like, I was like, you did it in this thing and you did it in that. And it's like, she's never openly apologized for it. She got released and then called herself trying to dissipate and would post an occasional beach selfie picture to try to sit there and say, I'm going to let this blow over and then think you're going to come back. Here's the problem. There are those of us who know better. Yes. There are many people who are watching your show now who are in the chat who are like, this ain't the move.
Yeah.
But again, fucking AEW has the most indie-rific fans ever who will egg this shit on and are going to love it and try to use it as a people. See, I don't see AEW fans giving it, and that's the truth.
Yeah.
You see, she's trying to make amends. Why can't you guys see she's sorry? She's not.
Yeah. And that's the thing. And J-Dog says it makes a great point. AEW promised inclusion. This would be a massive betrayal of that. Yeah, certainly Cody making a big deal. Tony Khan making a big deal about this being a more diverse workplace. Bringing in someone with these kinds of issues isn't the move at all. But the WWE did welcome back Hogan after all the stuff he said. And apparently some of the black wrestlers there did not like his apology, did not think it was the best thing. Then had the audacity to pair him with Titus O'Neil in the past WrestleMania.
They did that too because, again, unfortunately,
yeah,
WrestleMania was in Tampa.
Yep.
So using Hogan was like, it was one of those things that was like, you hate to say it made sense, but you shouldn't. And again, to use Titus O'Neil is like the GOP putting Tim Scott in the front for Joe Biden's rebuttal.
That's a fair point. That's absolutely a fair
point.
And
I'm not saying that Titus is that dude like that. I'm not saying
no, right.
But it was really, and Hogan doesn't mean his apology. Hogan just needs to be on TV to get a check. Mm-hmm. Again, AEW was like, everybody's like, is AEW gonna bring in Hogan? And everybody that was the one time I seen people get on AEW like, do it if you want. I remember seeing people on social media and around going, they were like, do it if you want. Mm-hmm. Do it, bringing them in if you want. And yes, J-Dog's right. Hogan got booed at Mania. But it was Vince's mindset that this is his hometown. They're not gonna boo him. They're gonna love him. Oh. And you were like,
they booed him. They booed him every time he spoke. They cheered Titus every time he spoke and booed Hogan. If it wasn't Toronto, that's the only city you could have got away with that in. Any other city would have been against it. Man.
But Tampa was not supposed to boo him.
Yeah, right. He didn't. And
Tampa was not supposed to boo him. Yep. He didn't think it was happening because he knew. Yep. Vince McMahon knows. Hogan's gotten booed at Raws when they were still having people.
That's a good point.
Hogan got booed at Raws, so he knew Hogan at Mania in Tampa can be a safe bet.
Yeah.
That's what you saw.
It didn't really work out that way for sure. Daga's coming over as well. And, Daga was wrestling for Mexico's Lucha Libre AAA company recently, but he vacated the AAA Latin American Championship this past week. So seems like this is going to happen. They're both heading over. And wasn't she with Ricochet? And now she's with the Latino, but she can still be racist. This is a confusing situation.
Is it though? I mean, I'm going to tell you why. I know a chick from Salt Lake City, white woman. Yes, a white woman. I have no problem with
her. From Salt Lake City, a white woman? What? Okay.
Has a black ex. Has, likes to have, she's one of those people that like, I like black people. I like everybody. But her homegirl texted me, was like, she got drunk and was going on all type of racist rants. Ooh. So just because somebody's with someone of the opposite race,
yes,
does not take away their racism.
Fair point.
It doesn't take it away. And so, everybody was like, did the breakup with Ricochet really make her start hating black people? No, she probably hated him beforehand. But then again, Trevor's not that black guy like a black guy. Let's be real. He's a safe black. I love him to death. But that's a safe black dude. You're not gonna see Tessa Blanchard with no Bobby Lashley. Even though Bobby's married, but
yeah, that's true. Bobby's a good guy too. I like Bobby, and I love what's happening for him over in the WWE. Great stuff for sure. All right, so we'll see what happens. Certainly, we'll keep tabs on it, Jay. It's an uncomfortable situation on so many levels. A lot of people saying it shouldn't happen. So we shall see what the reaction is when she comes back, and we'll see if this is a phenomenal mistake by AEW. But we do know there are a large contingent of wrestling fans who probably don't have an issue with it. So, all right. This is a weird day already, Jay. I'm sorry. Let me switch over to my other camera here. This has been a terrible day for me. This has been a terrible day for me already.
Yeah. You really need to switch because that camera looked like you was doing something on the air that you shouldn't be doing. That face looked like you would hit the money shot. Like, why was he doing this?
All right, we're just gonna go with that with my face camera from there. We'll just keep going with that.
Just like, why is his face like this was live too? People was like, what the fuck is Rocha doing?
Here's a tip for you people on YouTube. Always juice up your camera overnight. Always. All right. Anyway, let's move on to the next thing, and that is Miz's 24/7 episode documentary that was on it's the 7th season of 24/7 on the what I'd say now the Peacock WWE network. They did the one last week on Big E, which was only 53 minutes. This one is an hour and 17 minutes plus commercials, of course, on Peacock, because it sucks that you have to have commercials on Peacock. But Jay, this one, as much as I enjoyed the Roddy Piper one, this one surprised me because by the end, it really changed my opinion on The Miz, gave me even more respect for him and his journey it actually turned me into a fan of this guy. And I never in a million years thought I would be a fan of The Miz. So you tell me, what did you think of this documentary? Did you appreciate it? Did you enjoy it? Did you have an issue with it? Tell me.
I appreciate all of these documentaries now, like I was saying about Piper, because you get more in depth about the person behind the character.
Yeah.
Like, again, everybody knew that Mike Mizanin wanted to be a wrestler from the real world. Everybody knew that. That's what The Miz was. The Miz was a WWE character he created. So then he comes into Tough Enough. We saw his story, and then you're like, okay. But then to hear him talk about how the locker room was like, screw you.
Yeah.
And was like, hear him talk about how the locker room came at him. It speaks volumes. Yeah. And then to him to understand that the one thing that shocked me was the Vince McMahon promo class day.
Yeah.
Where Vince had him go last because
I had no idea about that.
But it's so funny because you get to see all your wrestlers, faves and everything else. Mm-hmm. You got to watch them taking notes and doing this, and Vince McMahon telling you how to. It's so crazy because you got Vince like, this is how you're supposed to get over. Mm-hmm. Look, and you're like, some people are like, Vince is so out of touch, and you're like, is he? I mean, sometimes it's like, yes, but at the same time, him to hold a promo class and be like, oh shit, and have Randy Orton, all them Cena, all them there being like, okay, damn.
Yeah. People
but again,
who were already established, Jay, were in that promo class. Incredible.
This was the roster in that class.
This wasn't optional in any way.
This was the roster. Like, if you active on this roster at this time, you need to be here. I don't give a shit if your foot is hanging off and we waiting on it to reattach. Be here.
Exactly.
But it's just, you learn so much more, and then you find out that he blacked out at WrestleMania versus Cena, and I was like, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. Never occurred to me until I watched it after you see him talk about it, and you see his face. You're like, how the hell did I not get that he was totally knocked out? Like, it was just, you get caught up in the moment when you're watching it.
You're so used to him selling.
That's
the way he sells stuff. Yep. You're so used to the way he sells stuff where you're like, he sells it as the heel, and he's like, oh, I just got whooped. But you didn't realize this motherfucker was like 2 + 2 is green. Like, you didn't know that's what he was saying at the time. Like, you didn't know that he was around here. Like, he was like, yo, did I mess up the match? This is another thing, an attribute to pro wrestlers that people forget. There are wrestlers that have been knocked out numerous times, myself included, and we finished the match. Why? Because your body goes into autopilot. Your body knows what to do. Like, if you so into it and all this, and then you're in the deal and you working, and then something happens, unless you are completely gone, if your body is able to move, your body goes into autopilot. So you know what to do, how to get over this, that, and the third. Mm-hmm. And then you just watch the Miz go through, and then when he gets to the back, he just like, so purple Cheerios, right? That's the thing. They're like, purple Cheerios. What are you talking about? But and then just like I said, hearing how everything they threw at him, he took it and ran with it. Him and Morrison making the dirt sheet. Him just saying, him making the Intercontinental title relevant again.
Right.
It's just it's an amazing thing.
Yeah, I think I would say, and look, I didn't want to watch this thing. Aaron said to me, you got to watch this thing. We put it on the rundown this week, and I just didn't want to watch it. And then it's like last night, I was like, all right, I'll put it on. I'll watch it a little bit. If it sucks, that's what I'll talk about. And I was just engrossed. I was transfixed by this documentary. Shout out to WWE. They always do incredible documentaries. Their video people are the best on the planet. Like, really, this side of the NFL, they're incredible.
You know what we're learning too now? Here's the thing. If you win a title, if you see somebody win a title that has been a road, expect a chronicle 24/7 or a documentary about them.
Yeah, true. Very, very true. And they're incredible. I remember watching Alexa's from a couple of years ago, and I thought it was fantastic and what she went through. And I got to watch that Sasha Banks one for sure. So they're all out there. But this one, I can't recommend enough. Even if you're not a fan of The Miz, it just might make you a fan of The Miz. If you're a fan of professional wrestling at all, you got to watch this to see how much he endured to get to the position that he's in. I mean, 7 months of having to dress in hallways, in the main bathrooms of stadiums or arenas, in broom closets, all because the wrestlers there thought he was just using the WWE as a stepping stone to get something else. They didn't appreciate or they didn't see that this guy was a lifer. This guy loved the business.
And
they saw him as a reality.
Who did he have to ask to get back in?
Yeah, The Undertaker, the godfather of professional wrestling, The Undertaker.
Taker was known for holding wrestlers' court.
Yeah.
Like there was things that it was like, you know, you would hear how things in the back happen and whatnot, and arguments and fights, and you would think, oh, Vince McMahon, John Laurinaitis, or whoever's head of talent relations would handle that. No. Taker, tell him come in. I need you. I need the people involved. I'm going to pick my jury.
Yeah.
In a sense. And not even just that, to hear how he was the Intercontinental title and they weren't doing anything with it. And he made sure. Yeah. He made sure that you are going to respect this title. For him to get Bad Bunny. And then I just was in a Facebook group that I'm in, and somebody was like, oh, Damian Priest, because they was shitting on Damian Priest, was like, Damian Priest was on top of the world on NXT, and now Vince got him doing stupid stuff on Raw. And I was like, bruh, he was just in one of the most highest profile matches in WrestleMania history.
Yeah, true.
And then it also makes you think about, excuse me, how every time a celebrity does come in, pretty much, they go to The Miz.
Yeah.
And it's like, we never noticed that until they put it in front of you. You're like, damn, this is true.
Yeah, it's true. And Jay, I want to say this as respectfully as possible. I forgot how hot Maurice was when she first appeared on the Holy Mary Mother of God. And I mean that as respectfully as possible, because
you also forget how little her English was back then.
Yes, right?
How much her English has grown over the years. Because again, remember, he was like, she could barely speak English,
right?
Because she was from Canada. Her French accent was heavy, and then out through the years. But you just watch this, and then watch the two of them together, and how Maurice is like, he's elevated her, and he's like, no, you've elevated me, and together they just work. Yeah. And again, going into WrestleMania, I tell people I didn't believe that this was going to steal the show as it would have.
Yeah,
but I knew that Bunny, because I heard Bunny was training, like he's training with Gulak and Pierce.
Yeah.
So like he wasn't playing training. He wasn't just doing, Bunny was really training, and you put him with two guys who can work. Right. Well, three actually, because again, Priest is just helping him out on his end. But if you got Bad Bunny in the ring, you got Morrison and Miz to carry him, and it's going to be good. Yeah. And so it all turned out to be very well.
Yeah, agreed. So once again, can't encourage you all enough. Yeah, watch the Roddy Piper biography, of course, but watch this 24/7 documentary. They're doing great work over there, and I guarantee you, it'll leave you with a different feeling about the Miz than you went in with about him. And certainly, if you're a Miz fan already, it'll just make your devotion or fandom for him even deeper, for sure. And that's right now on Peacock / the WWE Network, whatever it is now. All right, let's jump into some Streamlabs and Super Chats that have been coming through. Chris Taylor says, the Miz doc shows you have to be mentally tough to make it in the WWE.
People don't understand that. This ain't first of all, right now they got it easy.
Yeah.
Because why? They just had to come to one place. And before WrestleMania, they were doing, tape shows for a while. That's it. But when you have to be on the road from your family, dealing with all this, you feel like you're not doing nothing, and you might want to break down and just say, I quit. If you want to be there, you gotta, listen, I'm here for it. It's the truth.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. And it was great to see that for sure. Xavier Black Wiley says, glad to see. Oh, let me change that so we can see all of us in the thing here. I always forget to put the bubble on this thing. There we go. Glad to see my guy Jay on the show. It's about time. Aaron been ducking you for months and talking trash on Twitter. And yes, I have the screenshots to prove Loki calling you a wrestling novel novist, but Jay should be a show regular. Yes, but Jay should be a show regular. Oh, if Jay wasn't so busy, I'd absolutely love to have Jay on the show more. But Jay's always busy, so I was happy to catch him today.
Jay literally after this has got to do a voiceover audition, a couple of those. Got to do study. I got a self-tape due, so yeah.
See? Yeah.
Also, I got to train as well because I'm getting back in the ring, Aaron. Something that you've never done.
It's true.
Running the ropes, taking bumps, and actually having wrestling matches. This thing called, being an actual wrestler, not just I'm a fan. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well said, Jay. Well said. Chris Taylor says Miz and Daniel Bryan has been one of the WWE's best feuds in a long time. Yeah, Jay. I mean, Daniel Bryan straight up in this doc says, I don't like Mike, but I work with him. I respect him. I just don't like him. And I was like, damn. I mean, damn. So that heat was real between these guys for sure.
Bryan is such a genuine dude. He was like, I don't like this motherfucker. Holy shit. I don't like this motherfucker.
Yeah, straight up. But, you know, he put it on the table. And, but, you know, I appreciate that kind of respect. Thank you, Pharaoh Kid. He says, who is Tessa's first opponent? Who from Japan do you want to come over to AEW or WWE?
I don't want anybody else right now from Japan to come over. And the reason I say this because I think AEW has burnt us out so far.
Yeah, true.
With all the talent. And then you already have New Japan and everything. Cool. Who is Tessa's first opponent? Racism. Now, if she can beat racism, boy, she's got a shot.
I would love to see a character from professional wrestling named Racism. I would kind of love to see that. If the only if the 80s were back. All right, Ryan Cross Project Only says, with AEW working with other promotions and the WWE or Federation in talks to work with MLW in a developmental style of agreement, with all of that, do you guys think this is a step towards the, quote, territories coming back for a new generation? Jay, well, you know, the Piper documentary talked about territories. Yeah. What do you think?
This shit ain't, territories will never come back. Yeah. They can't, because again, you have a mega company like the WWE. Because of a mega company like the WWE, no matter what people say, how many people are fans of indie shows and indie feds and indie companies and smaller companies, the WWE will always take precedent whenever it's in a town.
Yeah.
The WWE is old, no matter what town it is. So territories would mean that one company, I would say that like AEW would only stay in the Florida and the southeastern area. Right. WWE can come down there in a moment and sell out wherever they want to go. So it's not territorial. It's just you're expanding your developmental. And Vince and them are like, Vince is trying to, I'm signing everybody. He's doing what he did when WCW first popped.
Yeah.
I'm signing all these AWA, NWA guys. I'm signing everybody before you can.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what, again, we see it all the time. And again, when people, this whole batch of everybody that just got fired, when people forget, there is a giant firing spree after every WrestleMania.
Good point.
It always happens. But Vince is trying to, you know, again, as a businessman and as a business-minded individual, I understand it. I get it. I can't be mad at it.
Yeah.
I can't be mad at it. So, but I don't think the territories will come back.
Yeah, I don't think so either, dude. That day is done and will be done forever.
Yeah, there won't ever be.
Unless Vince, like after Vince dies, somehow, some way, Triple H and Stephanie and Shane fumble the entire company for years. I don't think territories are ever coming back. What we see, the smaller stuff, that's always going to be there. Like the California wrestling that's around here.
Championship wrestling from Hollywood.
Yeah, exactly. You get those smaller things, of course, because people want to work and they're happy to get paid really low wages just to be able to do what they love to do. But you're never going to go back to the territories where there are champions of this and champions of that. There are promotions, but they're usually medium to big promotions that do that. But I don't think these territories ever coming back. Justin Toner says, hi, John and Jay. Glad you could join us on Strong Style today, Jay. Wanted to hear your thoughts on WrestleMania, Bianca versus Sasha, and what are the matches you enjoyed? I thought Bianca Sasha was done great. Seeing the emotion on their faces really got to me. Yeah, what do you got from me, Jay? What do you say?
It did. When they were about to go into tears before the bell rang, because they knew what they were doing.
Yeah,
it wasn't the match, it was the moment. It was, we are two black women main eventing WrestleMania.
Yeah.
We are two black women. We are not only just two black people, two black women main eventing WrestleMania. No matter what happens in this match, no matter how this match goes, no matter what, they will never take that from us.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to say, Jay, I felt the same way. I've never seen two people get emotional before the match. I've seen them get emotional after the match, but before the match at this level. And maybe that's correct because this is such a monumental thing to have these two black women headline the first night of WrestleMania with their incredible
When Michael Cole said it on the announced desk, people was like, so His ticket to the barbecue is punched. I was like, first of all, we're not just inviting people to the cookout. This nigga can get a plate to take it home. He just can't just come to the barbecue. Bucky had to fight his way to get an invite to the barbecue. Bucky was brought into Wakanda, and they was like, well, we cooking. We might as well give him a plate. That's how Bucky got his. You know what I'm saying? But, that the Bad Bunny match did it for me.
Yeah.
I wanted more out of the Orton Fiend match.
Okay. Yeah, totally. Absolutely.
I wanted more out of that. Night 2 couldn't follow. Night 2 didn't have the same height and hype as Night 1, but the Cesaro Rollins match
that was
definitely
good.
up there. So yeah.
What about the triple threat match with Daniel Bryan, Edge, and Reigns? Did you like that one?
I did, because of the fact Vince McMahon swerved everybody.
Oh my God, everybody, dude.
He swerved because everybody was like, oh, it's Edge. He won the Rumble. Then everybody was like, wait, is it Daniel Bryan? Nobody. There's a few people who thought it, but the majority of people did not think Roman Reigns was walking out of WrestleMania with the title. And he did. And you were like,
Yep.
Oh.
I know. Even Aaron and I just were like, he never sends the heels home with the belt. He never does that at WrestleMania. So why would he do it now? And damn if it didn't work perfectly. And then of course, Reigns beat Daniel Bryan last night on SmackDown. So Bryan is out of SmackDown. So where's Bryan going to go next?
What you mean? Where does he go next?
I don't know.
Goes to Raw.
Is he going to Raw? All right.
Or if he wants to wrestle.
Yeah.
If he wants to wrestle, I would not be surprised if they let him go down.
To NXT?
Look, Finn Balor got to go down.
Wow, that's true. Well, you can't say down anymore, Jay. You got to say
you can't say
that. Yeah.
You got to say cross. But Finn Balor, at the time when it was, Finn Balor went down.
Yes, right. Good point.
At the time. So if you want to see Daniel Bryan wrestle, and think about the possibility matches you can get with him on NXT.
Yeah. Good point.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There's some great talent on Raw, but you put him to NXT. That not only what that does is it hype it, especially if the move to Tuesdays might have been the most pre-calculated Triple H thing ever in history, and nobody gets it.
Good point.
Because you know why, right?
No. Tell me. Enlighten us.
So, did you hear about the deal with Warner Media and the NHL?
No. Oh yeah. They got like 3 Stanley Cups or something like that. They're going to cover everything, and they've got it Wednesday nights, right?
They got it Wednesday nights,
right?
Which would force Dynamite to move to Dynamite to Tuesdays. They won't go to Thursdays. Right. Thursdays is already taken the NBA. They would go to Tuesdays probably, no matter what. Now, if you're Triple H and you've already established that we have Tuesdays, we already established we got Tuesdays. You come in, you'll get something. You won't get what you could have gotten.
Right. Good point. Absolutely good point, man. AJ Daniel says, what do you think it will take to make Shayna Basler the star she was in NXT? I think it'll
release her.
Yeah, I think it'll take Vince hating her to stop hating her, rather, to get her back and stop seeing her as somehow a woman that he can't promote. She is a fucking beast. She should be fighting for belts. She should be in constant conversation for those titles. I don't get Vince's avarice towards her, because why bring her up if you're not going to give her a shot at all this kind of stuff? She is an unusual female wrestler and should be respected as such.
He gave her
Natalya all kinds of shots. It drives me insane, bro.
They gave her the biggest push ever last year. Didn't she win the Rumble or something like that? No.
Yeah.
Then she beat everybody in the Elimination Chamber.
Right.
Beat everybody, only to go to WrestleMania and lose.
Yeah.
We'll let this run happen. Vince doesn't believe in her.
Yep. That's what it is.
But you got to also remember, I hate having to say it this way. When you talk about the WWE, depending on the brand, it's not about wrestling all the time.
Right. Yep.
It's not about the wrestling. It's about, the character.
Yep.
And Shayna on the mic is not good. Shayna, as you let Shayna just go in, do what she got to do, Shayna can give you great matches. Shayna on the mic on top of Nia Jax, that is not a good combination on the mic. I hate to say it.
Right.
I hate to say it, but that's a problem. So again, Chris Benoit, before he got the title, God rest his soul. Well, maybe not God rest his soul, but that's what everybody says when they say somebody dead. If he killed him, then that's between him and Chris. They sent him to acting classes,
right,
so he can learn how to talk. And so you can't have Shayna as a star. Name me one star on the WWE main roster that hasn't talked, that isn't good on the mic at some point.
Yeah,
you don't have one.
Yeah, you wonder about this, Jay. I mean, you look at Shayna Basler and you wonder, okay, where does she go from here? Nia Jax, I think, is more of an anchor than a push for her. And he might be, someone said in the chat, I think this is actually a really great point. Gramash says Vince is hoping Shayna will help Nia Jax get over. And that ain't never happening, I'll tell you. Well, until I think it's going to take something that you don't see coming to get her over. But it ain't going to be because of Shayna. That's for damn sure. But Shayna should be in these conversations, should be the situation. Imagine Shayna joining the head of the table situation. She's the female, kind of like the China in a way of the DX. And it's what's his face, Paul Heyman, who's putting her over with promos, walking her down to the ring, answering all this kind of stuff. That would be incredible. I think that would get her over in a minute. Absolutely.
I really need all the Samoans and Samoan connected people. Just call that bloodline, had them run with that completely.
That's not a bad idea.
When Jimmy come back, throw him over, throw Naomi over. Put Tamina and Nia Jax. Let them, if he's really the head of the table, give him the table.
Yeah, absolutely.
Give him the table.
Yeah, let him run with it for sure. Jay, how much time do we have for you for, man? We're at the hour mark.
Come on, let's go.
Let's go. All right, Xavier Black Wiley says, one more thing. Why do we keep seeing the same matches every week on SmackDown and Raw? Is this a COVID-19 thing or is this a roster thing? The Street Profits, Natalya, Nia, Jax, Tamina. What's going on? Tamina, what's going on here? Tamina, what's going on?
COVID-19.
Yes.
Injuries.
Yeah.
And because again, we don't remember the 2 weeks leading to WrestleMania were taped.
Mm-hmm.
That's why when WrestleMania, the WrestleMania SmackDown happened, and then you saw WrestleMania, you were like, "Oh my God, everybody cut up and jacked up." The 2 weeks, all they was putting in work.
That's true. That's very, very.
It's true. A lot of injuries. People are coming over again. WrestleMania, you push yourself harder. Again, there's creative who doesn't believe in certain people.
Yeah.
Natalya is always going to be they're going to always push her because Natalya can put people over in the ring. Whether you like her or not, Natalya can put talent over.
That's a fair point. I guess I have to accept that. I know. I guess I have to accept that. I'll move past that for now. All right. Keep sending in Streamlabs Super Chats as we round the corner into the end of the show. Jumping into our next topic real quick. Mick Foley had some words here, Jay, about we were just talking about Shayna Baszler, women's wrestling. Mick Foley had some words about women's wrestling. He tweeted out this tweet that reads specifically about women's wrestling. He said, "Dear Vince, an all-women's brand needs to happen in WWE unless you want AEW to beat you to the punch. Sincerely, Mick." And then he tagged Vince McMahon in this tweet. Jay, is this how it's done to kind of draw attention to the situation? I don't think this is the smart move by Mick Foley on this. What do you think?
Mick is telling the truth. Look, Mick is telling the truth. When they did Evolution, the pay-per-view that was only done just to shut people up about WWE Blood Money, that was the next day because it was only the dudes on it. This is true. AEW is going to mess around and make an all-women's brand on purpose because they're like, Vince doesn't have it.
Yeah.
And because Vince has all his talent he is not using.
Yeah.
Now, here's the problem I have. Dudes and their antiquated points of views when it comes to women wrestling. We don't have divas anymore. We got wrestlers.
Right.
They can work. They can have the same type of storylines and craziness that the dudes have.
Mm-hmm.
Again, if you're tired of seeing Charlotte all the time, okay, you can allow this to happen and groom new stars.
Yep.
But he can. If I was Vince, I would listen. Like, because if AEW does it, whether it's good or bad, because again, a lot of people have complained about the women's wrestling on AEW as far as the quality of matches. You know, not just the time that they were doing and stuff like that, but the quality. But AEW will mess around just because and do it.
Yeah.
just to say we did it before Vince. And they will put it on, they might put it on YouTube first, whatever, but they will make an all women's league.
Yeah, it's like what do you got? Like a DC getting the first female-led superhero film out there. Wonder Woman was out there first. Yeah, Captain Marvel made $1 billion, but it still mattered that DC was the first one.
Yep.
He did it first. That's the same thing. You're absolutely right. And some of you know, if you go back and find my old breakdowns with Ryan Satin on Collider, I said this when we were first doing it. Whatever I said, don't be surprised if they create a woman's only show. That should happen because of the great wrestlers at the time. Both rosters were incredible, Raw and SmackDown for women. And I said they should absolutely have an all-woman show, an all-woman's thing. And people are like, oh, well, they don't have an all-men's thing. Shut the fuck up. It's been an all-men's thing for fucking decades, man. This is something completely
I hate people
different.
Who do that. I hate people who do that.
It's ridiculous. It's the same people like, well, they don't have an all-white channel. Shut the fuck up.
I mean, what the fuck did you think CBS was for years?
Yeah, and still is, really.
So overall, but you have, because again, let's look at just some of the Raw women. You've got Nia and Shayna, who are the women's tag champs, supposed to go between both shows.
Yep.
Mandy Rose, Dana Brooke, Asuka, Rhea Ripley, Charlotte, Naomi, and Lana. Right. That's it on that show. Then on the SmackDown side, you have the Riot Squad, Carmella, and nobody now because Billie Kay's gone.
Right.
So Carmella, Bianca Belair, Sasha Banks, Natalya Tamina. You can put those women together on one show, just in those two rosters alone, and use NXT like you did, been constantly doing. Build up your next women's superstars, and then move them over.
Yeah, I just feel like if Stephanie's going to come out and try to be in front of this when she was completely behind it, and I don't mean behind it pushing it, I mean like she was late to the party on this, then this is where you put your money where your mouth is. Support this. Do an evolution pay-per-view every year and do something positive for these women wrestlers, because it's the same women wrestlers that take the 10 minutes that they're on Raw or SmackDown. It's almost the same women wrestlers. Do something more to build the product up. Take a little bit of a loss in terms of ratings or whatever as you build up the storylines, but then people will eventually come over because people gravitate to consistency. And if you believe in a product over and over and over again, eventually people will come and enjoy it. And certainly people's attitudes about women's wrestling has changed incredibly over the last 10 years, 15 years, but we can't speed it along. It will change more and more if you create a woman's only show. Doesn't mean they can't be on Raw or SmackDown too, but also this can exist at the same time. It is possible to do it. So I've always agreed with this. I 1,000% agree with Mick on his tweet here as well. So we'll see. We'll see if they listen or not. Let's move on to Kenny Omega here, Jay. He defeated Rich Swann to become the Impact World Champion. Yeah, this is an incredible accomplishment by Kenny Omega. He's got 3 belts now overall, the AEW belt, the AAA Lucha Libre belt he's got all this stuff, Jay. But in the end, I came away with this more impressed by Rich Swann than I was Kenny Omega winning this belt. What did you think?
I'm impressed by Rich Swann. I really think this whole thing this was supposed to be a cross promotion, help both companies out overall. This helped AEW more than it did Impact.
Yeah.
This benefited AEW. Again, yes, is it dope to see Omega? Because what you're just trying to do is to, quote unquote, stick it in Vince McMahon's face.
Right.
That Kenny Omega can be the world champion 3 companies simultaneously. You're trying to stick it in, okay, let's be real. Vince don't give a fuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
it's small potatoes to Vince, man.
It's small potatoes to Vince. There are so many fans who are like, see, this is what Vince McMahon could have had. Vince is like, I can make 100 Kenny Omegas any day of the week. Let's just be honest. Kenny Omega, y'all would have been real mad. Y'all would have been real mad if Kenny Omega would have signed with the WWE and have been his ass in mid-card hell. So, but again, to Rich Swann put out on what he should. Will Rich Swann get this belt back? I don't think so.
Right.
I don't think so. I wish it was that wasn't the case. I mean, yeah, you give him the title of being the unified TNA Impact World Champion because they're supposed to be bringing TNA back. Right. That's supposed to be the thing. TNA's supposed to be coming back. But this was all about AEW. This was not about Impact, because what was the only thing? Okay, occasionally you had Private Party on Impact, but mainly you kept getting the Good Brothers on AEW, which everybody was like, I'd rather see him on AEW, and then get Kenny Omega every now and then over on Impact. You never brought the women over. You never brought Deonna Purrazzo, Jordan Grace, none of them over to AEW, or vice versa. You wouldn't even need to bring the women from AEW to Impact. Bring the Impact women to, or help them get the eyes on, so people can go back and be like, oh shit, I need to watch them on Impact. Right. It was just So Grimash real quick says he might have been another AJ Styles. See, that's the problem. That's the problem. And I'm gonna tell you why. He already has an AJ Styles.
Yeah.
Vince McMahon will say that. I already got him. I don't need two.
Yeah.
Everybody that's on top, the main people we keep seeing, no matter how we may feel about them, they're all different and unique.
Yep.
Vince McMahon is that closed-minded. Sorry to cut you off real quick.
No.
Vince McMahon is that closed-minded. Just says he would see AJ and Kenny similar. Yeah. And that is not a good thing.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, Jay. And I think, he doesn't see Kenny Omega as a star. He doesn't, or he would have made a play for him a while ago now, or even through this whole thing. And I'll agree with him, to be honest with you. I think Kenny Omega appeals to those independent, hardcore fans who love that kind of wrestling, will follow him to NJPW, all that kind of stuff. But Jericho is a bigger star with him with no belts than Omega is with 3 belts. He just is. There's just more of a personality, more of a natural energy and atmosphere around someone like Jericho, or on even AJ Styles. Those are people that just carry a certain higher level of charisma with the fans. You could put 30 belts on Kenny Omega, and he doesn't have that same kind of thing. For the hardcore independent wrestling fans, for the hardcore, just love matches, love wrestling, he absolutely appeals to them. I love watching his matches, but he doesn't get over with the mainstream fan. He doesn't get over with the pop culture mainstream fans that really are the foundation of a lot of these male and female wrestlers that are over at higher levels than Kenny Omega. It just doesn't work. And so overall, I think Vince knows, hey, go collect all the belts you want, pal. It isn't going to make me look at you any differently, because I've seen what I need to see. And you're getting older. You're not getting younger,
Okay, and Kenny Omega had a developmental deal.
Yeah,
but that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
There are many people who have had developmental deals, and if they don't do anything with you or bring you back or do anything, just people gonna say this sounds wrong, but I'm gonna say it. It took Omega having to be one of the people to start his own company to be the dude.
Yep.
It took him. They dragged it out from giving it to him, but you always knew it was going to fall to him.
Yeah.
He had to be. Took his own company. Now, yes, again, this is supposed to benefit Impact and AEW. Supposed to, but come on, it's the indie fans are one thing, and I get it. Indie fans are coming into mainstream, and of course, AEW prides itself being on what it is.
Sure.
But again, Vince McMahon knows that star power. Like you said, Vince would have signed him to developmental is one thing. If they would have thought when he was in developmental that he could have been somebody, they would have locked him in.
Yeah. Same thing. Yeah, exactly. And they would have seen what they need to see, and they would have brought him in. We saw that in the Miz doc, the 24/7. He was in a developmental territory, and they eventually brought him up to give it a shot. They never really did that with Kenny Omega. So that tells you what Vince feels about Kenny. And Vince most of the time is right, ladies and gentlemen. He is wrong sometimes, but he isn't wrong a lot, ladies, when it comes to stars and what have you.
We went through that one batch. We went through that one big batch in the middle of the end of the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
The Ruthless Aggression Era, where you had like the Mason Ryans and all. And we went through that little patch where they couldn't make any new stars. And right after that, we got a boosting. Somebody just Grimace said star power means nothing. What is his star? His indie wrestler. I'm telling you, he doesn't. Vince McMahon does not. He doesn't care about this indie wrestling star power. He wants to know: can you make him main money star power?
Yeah.
CM Punk was able to make him main money star power. And how did CM Punk do it? That pipe bomb changed everything.
Yep. One of the greatest promos ever still. Gramash, I see where you might be coming from. Star power means nothing, but booking is important as well. So it's the combo of both. But star power gets you to override bad booking and that works out for the brand and for yourself overall, certainly. Let's see. We got a one super chat here. New season of Dark Side of the Ring is this week. That's Davian Mistrunner. Well, Davian, let me tell you, we put it on the channel here. We'll put it on the rundown here real quick. I went to Vice TV. For those of you who are watching us who didn't watch us from the beginning on this show, I went to Vice TV this afternoon just on a happenstance, and there was part 1 of the Brian Pillman show. So it is supposed to debut on Friday, but they already dropped part 1. So when you're done with our show, head on over to Vice TV, head on over to the Vice website, and watch part 1. I was 10 minutes in and transfixed with what I was watching already. Stone Cold on there. Current interview with Stone Cold. Current interview with Pillman's son, Brian Pillman Jr., and current interview with Pillman's sister. JR is on this thing. Cornette is on this thing. So all of them being interviewed currently about their feelings and experiences with Brian Pillman. So I can't recommend it enough. But yes, the new season starts this Friday. Jay, are you excited for Dark Side of the Ring starts season 3?
Yo, it's something people need to see. It's something people need to see. People, again, we the documentaries, the biographies we see, we highlight the positive, we highlight the great stuff. But the dark side of this bit, I'd never forget when the New Jack one dropped. I said, boy, this finna show people some shit. this finna show people some shit. This, finna show like that, the Bruiser Brody one, all these things, like this shit ain't sweet. This business, this wrestling business, it can yield, it can bear much fruit.
Yeah.
It can bear much fruit, but at the same time, it can take away so much.
Yeah. And there's going to be a lot of things they're going to cover in this season 3 for sure. You get Jake the Snake Roberts, John Moxley, Eric Bischoff, Jim Cornette, David Arquette, Chris Jericho, the former wife of the Ultimate Warrior, Sherry Tyree. All these people are going to show up in these topics. It's a 14-episode lineup. Yep.
Please show the John Moxley. Please show old footage from Elite Pro where I used to have to tell John to get the fuck away from me. John used to wear a clown mask, a really weird clown mask.
Yeah.
And he would always do this like slow walk. He would do this type of walk that Heath Ledger type did in the beginning of the Dark Knight.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, John, get the fuck away from me. John, get the fuck away from me.
So much is going to be covered for sure in this Dark Side of the Ring season 3. Get yourselves lined up, but go watch that part 1 of Brian Pillman. And just another plug for Vice TV. Apparently, they're doing a series called Dark Side of Football that will premiere May 13th at 10 p.m. Eastern as well. So,
parents gonna be pulling their kids out of programs. Hey, look at it. Hey, Tyreek, listen. I know I had plans on scholarships and shit, but this nigga shot himself in the face. Come on out. Come on out.
So good Vice doing great stuff with this Dark Side stuff. Really appreciate all they're creating. All right, here we're gonna wrap up here with this quick rundown of what's happened at AEW Blood and Guts Dynamite happening on Wednesday. Kind of a preview for the Blood and Guts pay-per-view we're gonna get down the road here. But please remember to hit that like button as well. We got almost 100 y'all watching us live. Hit that like button on this show as well. We only got like 50 likes or something like that. Get us up to as close to 90 or 100 likes as possible. That's that thumbs up button if it's your first day on YouTube. All right, AEW Blood and Guts Dynamite, dude. Britt Baker is going to be in action here. A lot of people, Jay, think Britt Baker is going to be on the road to getting that belt off Hikaru Shida. Do you think that's going to happen? Do you like that Britt Baker has kind of vaulted herself off that fight that she had a couple of weeks ago
with Thunder Rosa?
Thunder Rosa, yes.
I mean, look, Thunder Rosa's already up there. So Thunder Rosa, it elevated Thunder Rosa higher than what she was. Britt Baker needed something, and Britt was supposed to get the title. Did she ever have it? No. She's always been this close.
Yep.
So finally, let's just finally give it to her. Let's see. Now there's some thing again, backstage politics. There's a lot of things backstage I know of which have hindered that push. So maybe those backstage politics and shenanigans, if you will, have changed, and they were like, okay, we can finally do it. Because a lot of times when you see your fave never have a title, you're like, yo, why they ain't never got that rub or that push? And you'd be like, well, how much time do you have?
I got a lot to say. All right, let's move on to our next match here. This is SoCal Uncensored versus Jurassic Express versus Varsity Blondes versus the Acclaimed. It's a 4-way tag team eliminator for the number 1 contender spot. What you feeling about this match, man?
It's the Acclaimed.
Yeah.
It's the Acclaimed.
Yeah. I think so too, bro. I'm feeling the same way. The Acclaim just seems to be, this is who they're pushing. This seems to be the right time for them to get into a position for this number one contender shot. All right, Cody Rhodes coming back here, taking on QT Marshall. A lot of people don't like QT Marshall, like he's fallen out of favor a little bit. So is this Cody trying to put one of his guys over that he signed here, or is this Cody burying one of his guys once and for all here with QT Marshall? What do you think?
QT let them shoot Dynamite in his gym when they didn't have the location.
That's a good point.
Let me tell you something. If QT don't go over, he not finna get buried.
Yeah.
He not finna get buried. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, right. He'll get opportunities. Is what you're saying. Yeah.
Well, they shot Dynamite at his facility. That lets you know he's not burying his friend. This was before they were able to say, "Can we just use Daly's place?" They were at QT Marshall's gym. Okay, so
that's a good point. Let's see. All right, Kenny Omega and Michael Nakazawa versus Eddie Kingston and John Moxley. What do you got here?
Look, they got to put Moxley and Kingston over because we have not forgot about that bullshit explosion of nothing that goes off. So, like, this has got to happen. This is just really got to. I mean, it'd be great to see Michael Nakazawa to do what he does, but this has got to be. If Kingston and Moxley win, I don't see Omega getting pinned because I wouldn't be surprised if the person that takes the title off Kenny Omega is, if I'm looking at this correctly, is not on the card.
Oh, who do you think?
Yeah. Christian.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Christian Cage, who turned down a chance to join one of the groups there at AEW. That's a good point. It's good. Taz's group. He turned down Taz's group to be a part of it. So maybe they're lining him up in a certain way for sure. That's a great point.
They didn't want to just throw him into it yet, but they we got to wait. What's going to happen is Kenny got to drop the Impact title.
Yeah.
He'll drop the Impact title first, and then they'll maneuver a way around. Christian becomes his number one contender. Yeah. And then, again, everybody does this. I don't know what Vince didn't see in you. Here's the title, because that's what Impact did. I mean, don't get me wrong. Christian is dope, but it's like, why did they gave you the World Heavyweight Championship? Take our main title.
All right, let's see here. All right, so then our last match here is the Blood and Guts match. The Inner Circle, that's Sammy Guevara, Jake Hager, Santana, Ortiz, and Chris Jericho taking on the Pinnacle, which is Wardlow, Sean Spear, Dax Hayward, Cash Wheeler, and the great heel MJF. We saw these two dueling promos last week, Jay. Fantastic promos both ways. Certainly MJF coming out a little bit better just because Jericho has decades of great promos. What do you think here in this one? Do you think it's Jericho getting it over, or do you think MJF finally gets over on Jericho at his team's expense?
I think the flash behind the Inner Circle is gone. I think all the hype behind the Inner Circle is gone. So I think it's the Pinnacle.
Yeah.
And it's just because, again, Sean Spears needs this.
Yeah.
Spears, more than anybody else on that side, MJF and Wardlow will be fine. Wardlow eventually will do something. The Revival, I'm not calling them nothing else. They'll be fine. They're gonna the Fear of the FTR. Whatever. Yeah. They're good. They're gonna get that tag title back again.
Yeah.
Spears needs this. MJF is gonna be a fact. So the Pinnacle as a whole needs this. Nobody's really caring about the Inner Circle anymore.
Yeah, it's kind of
I don't care about Sammy Guevara. I for goddamn sure don't care about Jake Hager. There's just so I know that's his name. I just don't want to be Jake Hager. Like,
yeah.
All right. Santana and Ortiz again. You're just like, man, it was such a hype thing. But
yeah. I agree. Jake Hager, I mean, how many times can you get a shot at trying to get over and it just doesn't work? I mean, it's not that he's a bad worker or a bad wrestler, bro. It's just that the gimmicks live for a little while, but he can't keep the audience's attention consistently. And in the end, he's moved from federation to federation to federation.
And Chris Jericho and Jericho's back has got to be killing them from carrying the Inner Circle. His back has got to be killed because he has carried the shit out the Inner Circle. Jericho has been like, everybody.
You know how old this back is?
You bitches don't learn to talk or do something right.
Probably played them in the MJF promo. Do you see? But this is why we have Jay Washington on the show, ladies and gentlemen, always breaking it down, telling the truth. So let's wrap it up there. Thank you all so much for joining us. An extra long special of Strong Style for sure. But more than anything else, thank you to great Jay Washington, the Urban Gladiator himself, joining us today. Jay, anything you want to plug or promote or push? Please, you have the floor, my friend.
Please just follow me over on Twitter and Instagram at Mr. J Washington. You see it spelled down below. Check out Blurs in the Hood every Tuesday and Thursday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. on the East Coast. Myself and Winston A. Marshall. It's a whole lot of fun for about an hour and some change. Come and join the neighborhood with us. The Mad Titan podcast, I am going to be recording 85 by myself, probably. Ooh. Knock that out. And then on Monday, I'll be back on Game Time if that's happening, because the sports world, because there's a draft, because I can actually wear my Bears jersey with pride. Like, yeah.
Poor Andy.
That's all.
He ain't gonna play one snap next year. There you go. Yeah, we're definitely gonna talk about the draft and everything else on Game Time on Monday at 2 p.m. Definitely might have a supersized one. Maybe bring in Ben Goddard. Have all 5 people talking about their football teams after this draft and what they were able to get. Who knows? We'll have some fun with that for sure. But thank you to Jay Wash. Please follow him everywhere, ladies and gentlemen. It's important to support the people who come on the Outlaw Nation channel. Support them on their own channel. Subscribe to their channels and subscribe to the social media. Social media helps. It helps. Those numbers help you get jobs. Those numbers help you get looked at for hosting situations. It's important. So if you've been hesitating or not doing it, or you're a little lazy, let me light a fire under your ass and follow Jay Washington, please, on all the social medias. Give him some love overall. And you can follow me at The Rocha Says. You can also see down there everywhere. Whatever. Fuck it. It's there. Follow there at The Rocha Says. Also subscribe down below to my YouTube channel. We're marching towards 17,000 subscribers, trying to elevate this thing, get it up to 20,000 eventually down there. By July, we want to get to 20,000 by July. So we'd love to get you to 70,000 as quickly as possible. If you haven't subscribed, please feel free to do so now. Thanks, everyone, for the super chats and Streamlabs today. We appreciate it madly. Aaron Turner will be back next week. Send him some love as well. And thank you all for being so lively in the chat. This was a blast. And remember to practice your social distancing, wear your mask, get your ass vaccinated, and we will see you next week for another live episode of Strong Style. Peace.